So you can see behind me the pallet wall, everything's painted. We have the lights up in the ceiling. Ryan's rummaging around for something back there. We've got a little bit of a messy workstation happening here, but that's all the floor that's going to go down once we finish trimming the windows and potentially installing plumbing. So the plumbing doesn't have to come before the floor, but we're trying to do as much as we can to avoid a mess before we put the floor down. So very excited to learn how to do window and door trim today and use all the power tools, because as you can see, Ryan is one-handed at the moment. So I'm learning how to do a lot. I'm learning how to listen to his instruction, and he's learning how to be very patient with someone who's never done most of this before. So we will see how it goes. I bought this Subaru Outback in 2020 when they had 0% financing, and we knew we needed something with better gas mileage to drive back and forth, and now it is like almost as good as having a farm truck. I measured and there's 9 feet from front to back, so we put 1x4x8s here in the Subaru because we are without Ryan's truck this week since he is not driving. So yeah, this has been like the handiest car. You've seen pictures of me putting potting soil and plants and everything else. So I have nothing but good things to say about my Subaru Outback. This is not an ad. I just love this car even more now that I need it for farm life. Okay, as you probably know, we are not a big like how-to kind of channel, or maybe you don't know, maybe this is the first video you are watching from us and hadn't stopped to consider that. But if you are, I'm glad you found us. We are working on this tiny house, and today's project is window trim, which in my mind, I guess a lot of residential homes that you find have the sheetrock around the inside trim. And that's probably a lot, knowing what I know now about drywall and sheetrock and all of those things, I'm sure that is a very complex process to put sheetrock trim in here, then do those corners. I can't even imagine. What we did was complicated enough. So we are just doing wood trim, and we're gonna paint it white so it matches the walls. We talked about maybe doing something a little more rustic, but I'm concerned that in this small space, that anything that we do that draws attention to the windows is actually going to make it feel smaller rather than bigger. So the idea is that we're going to paint these white, and that way they just kind of blend, one big open space. One thing that Ryan wanted to do is, let's see if I can turn the right way, these decorative edges on the windows. So that's what he likes to do, stuff like that. I think the outside awnings that he put up have those same decorative edges. So it gives it a nice little touch, not just basic wood. So if I do kind of quickly walk you through the process that we've done, Ryan is in a sling and can really only supervise. He had shoulder surgery, so I am doing all of the work, cutting all of the wood, doing all the measuring. It's intimidating for sure, but this is so far been an okay project. It's definitely not my favorite, and I have a little bit of fear of the table saw, but you can see we started by trimming out the inside of the window. So all of these pieces, 4 pieces all the way around. And this was where I had to use the table saw to rip these down to the width of the windowsill. We bought 1x4s to make sure that we had plenty of space, and then these got cut down to a little under 3 inches. Then we went back and added this trimmer on the outside. So you can see we cut these boards from top to bottom, and then cut this the full length of the window, including that. So that's where we did our overlap, was on the top and bottom. Now on this one, we went the same width, and then we went out a little bit further. So this ended up not being exactly the angle that Ryan had wanted, but we were really struggling to replicate this on the other side, so I came up with a different method for doing that, and that way we can do the same for each of our other windows. And as I'm sitting here, I'm just realizing what a beautiful blue cloudy sky it is out there. The blue looks so vivid. I doubt we'll get any rain, but we got 3.5 inches this past week, so that's pretty amazing. But this right here, this window in particular, is going to have a little live edge bar with stools, and this will be like a coffee bar. So when you come stay with us, you can sit here in the mornings and have your coffee, and this will be your view without the trash on the patio, of course. But yeah, I suppose if you were sitting, maybe you'd be more like down here. Ooh, I need to clean the window too, so I promise it will be guest ready. If you're sitting over here, you can see the chickens, so that'll be pretty fun. I have started on this side, so we do have the inside of these windows trimmed out. I'm going to have to move the AC to get to that window, but I'm going to work on the top and the bottom. One thing we were really disappointed to realize was that we don't have the trim piece to go in the middle here. So that's going to have to be about 6 inches wide and custom fit to that space, and it is not going to be, we just don't have the wood here on hand. So that will have to wait, but everything else will be done. One of the things that I can take a minute to talk about that might be something you do or don't do every day, but I'm learning how to use all of the different power tools that are needed for this project, and that has been an experience that I'm happy to have. It's just really frustrating sometimes when you're using something for the first time and you know maybe you're not doing it just right. That's also making it really frustrating for Ryan to watch and not be able to demonstrate for me. I'm a good hands-on learner, but I also, would love to watch him do stuff the first time, and that way I can replicate that rather than him trying to instruct me. So we definitely had a little bit of a tiff over installing the lights last week because he was trying to tell me to go down, and I thought I understood what he meant by down when bending a wire, but it's comical looking back on it. But yeah, we had a little bit of tension going, and imagine how far we've come on this project, and that's the first little disruption we've had, or disconnect that we've had in all of the different things we've done together. Okay, so back to power tools. I learned how to, well, I didn't really learn how to use the air compressor. You turn that on, but I did learn how to use the air nailer when I installed this pallet wall. So this is, I'll get back to that project when we do like a final tour, but that was a pallet wall that I made out of some of our pallet wood along with some that I bought to get the variation in color, and learn how to use the air nailer there. I'm having to use it to nail all of the trim in here. I should add too, I did use the circular saw to cut those angles because our chop saw wasn't going to be at the right angle here. It goes to a 45 degree or a little bit less, but we have a very odd angle on this slope. So I had to use just a regular, I think it was that one. Yeah, just the regular circular saw. I might not even get all the names of these things right, so feel free to tell me in the comments what the thing is actually called. I'm pretty sure this is called a chop saw, also called a miter saw. And it's going to be windy out here, but this can be turned to cut the different angles. Right now I just have it set straight because I'm working on just cutting the trim boards off straight. So that's pretty easy to use, as just got to make sure that the battery's charged, and always have my safety goggles on. This is the piece of equipment that has intimidated me today quite a bit. So I have never used a table saw, at least not that I remember. I might have used one when I did a wood flooring project, but I feel like all I used was the chop saw. So this is my first time ripping boards, and that blade is pretty darn scary. So to me, because I don't have experience with this. So Ryan has helped me learn techniques to use. I had started on this side and he was like, nope, you need to be, on the same side where we've got a little more clearance to push. I've been using this handy dandy little tool when I get to the end and pushing it through. And of course my safety glasses, I have learned this does absolutely kick sawdust up at your face. It's also noisy. So, that's part of what makes power tools somewhat intimidating, is the fact that they make a whole lot of noise. So that is the power tool tour. I'm using all kinds of saws, the air nailer. Can't think of anything else. We've had to use the drywall saw and make some other little adjustments, but yeah, lots of woodworking going on today, and I'll be excited to get this project done and moved on to something more fun to me, like the flooring, because this just feels like a lot of detail work that doesn't have the same aesthetic as something like the flooring, but it needs to be done, so we will get it done today. Okay, so I hit a snag, and that is that these were too long. They overhung the drywall, which is the point of this trim, is to make it flush with the drywall. So it was too long. I measured twice, cut once. I thought I had, but I guess erring on the side of 30 and 1/8 was too much, when really it was 30 and 1/16. So I had to rip these boards again with just a 1/16 of an inch coming off. Made me super nervous, but I did it. So now we'll see if they fit. Oh, and I thought I was gonna sneeze because I got so much freaking sawdust in my face and up my nose, but thankfully not in my eyes because I'm wearing my safety goggles. I was a little smarter this time, and I marked the ends of my boards with the length because they're all so close that this made it a little bit easier. Of course, I've lost a lot of time having to recut those boards, so not like that was a big time saver, but at least I can match them up. So my 36-inch goes here in this spot. It's fairly flush on one side, not quite as flush on the other, but this is going to have to be as good as it gets because these are, none of these windows are fully square. This is not made by, we have nothing but good things to say about Lone Star Structures, believe us. But these are not made to necessarily be residential properties. So there are lots of things that could happen, including the fact that this is transported from a couple hundred miles away. So it could be that it shifts and changes over time. I wouldn't be surprised by that. This one, these do not want to fit. I was hoping they would fit once I ripped them, but I think part of it's just because there's a little bit of drywall stuck there. So I'm not sure that I really want to take a hair off of this or not, but I guess since otherwise I'd probably be cramming it in, I will do that. So I will be back, and then we will finish this never-ending project.